So the troubles of this world began long back with overmind. So there's nothing new, it's not an Auroville or ashram. It belongs long, long back. So we should realize that we have nothing to do with the problems here. We have our origin somewhere else. Because it has taken all the truth from supermind, but it puts it, but sets up each truth as a separate force. So each religion, each Godhead, each thought, each concept has a truth or is true because it comes from supermind. But on the level of the supermind, all these religions and all these concepts were united, single. There is no division. But here, there is division, possibility of cooperation and conflict. So each overmental being has his own world. Each force has its own play and throws itself out to realize its own fulfillment in the cosmic play. All is possible. And from this separative seat of conflicting and even mutually negating possibilities comes too, as soon as mind, life and matter are thrown out into the play, the possibility of ignorance, unconsciousness, falsehood, death and suffering. So, as soon as the overmental consciousness appears, every truth becomes a group of ideas. This oneness is divided into groups. So we may take it on the religious level, we may call it Hinduism or Christianity and Islam, and each one becomes a large collective mass of consciousness. So there could be collaboration between the two, between each one of them, or there could be conflict in each one of them. Both the possibilities are there. But once that possibility of division begins, then you see what happens. After that, of course, as we said, normally the rest is history. Once overmind comes, what began there at overmind, it goes to the different levels of the intuition, illumined, higher mind, etc. Comes the great mind. And the mind is like a sieve. I don't know if some of my colleagues know what's a sieve. Indians know what it is. You know what a sieve is? Yeah. What happens in the sieve? Or you know how you make muruku? You must be knowing. Muruku, you know what is muruku, that long thing which is very, very tasty. So you put that atta, the dough in that thing and you press it, that one single dough, lump of dough comes out as so many murukus, separate. And overmind and mind is exactly that. What was more or less one, when it comes to the mind, the murukus come out, and that is each one of us, each one muruku. We are all broken up pieces of the singular consciousness. So what are we doing? We are all separate. Each one we have a name and a form and an ego, and then there is a conflict and there is a division and there is a battle between all of us. What started as a possibility, as Sri Aurobindo puts it, becomes an absolute division there. So the beginning of all our conflicts is the overmind. So the sense of possibility becomes an absolute reality in mind. So mentally we are all divided. But creation says, no, I think that's not yet enough divided. Mentally we can say, oh, we all belong to Auroville, so we are all one and ideal of human unity. So in a moment of residence committee, we may all have say, hey, we are one principle. So creation said, okay, I want to break you down, brings in life and brings in the body and brings in matter and brings in the atomic cell So with this atom and cell, all is broken down for good. There is no chance of further division. So what began as overmind becomes an atomic reality of absolute division, physical division. You see, mentally, we may all say we are Orwellians, and emotionally, we may get to the gathering and say, hey, no, we should stand for Orwell, we should stand for India, we are all blah, blah, blah. But on the physical level, we cannot be one. My body, your body, it can never be one. So, what started as kind of a little fun ended up in a bad joke. The physical reality of absolute separation. So, matter is the fulfillment of the divine involution, where division became absolute. So, then the Supreme Satchidananda said, wow, now I am happy. I am divided, there is no question of unity anymore. Physically, I will become atomic, and then the body comes in, so we are physically ununitable. So that's the beginning and the end. So that's where the story began. That's the time manifestation. I hope you are not losing the track of what I am saying. What we started saying was the coming down of the supermind here, the upper hemisphere, the supermind, and the lower hemisphere. And the supermind is mentioned in the Veda as Satyam, Ritam, Brihat. There is the truth, the rhythm, and the vastness. Vastness. That means supermind is a truth that is manifesting in the vastness according to a particular rhythm. It is not haphazard or perchance. There is a particular order, a particular logic. So that is what is called the rhythm. So, well, that's the mention there, and then we have seen here in the lower hemisphere, overmind ends up in the inconscient. Now that is, you may say, metaphysics, but what has that got to do with our subject of the mother? You see, in this divine plan, Sri Aurobindo kind of does not go beyond the description of the mother at this level. He stops at that, and then in the overmind, etc., there is no talk of the mother or what is her role. That's very interesting. Why there is no role of overmind to all the other levels till it comes to the level of the mind and man. Where the division has taken place. I mean, we say mind and man, I include the physical also. Now, the mother appears again at this level. You see, she is here. Up until then, we have seen we have absolute 1, absolute 2, absolute 3, then the different worlds, then the supermind, and then only at the level of the man, she comes in again. What happened in all these levels? She is not there as a strong manifestation. She comes back as a manifestation only here. That's why we call her the avatar, means the incarnation. Or coming down, the descent. So, this is the concept of the mother, the very title of the book, before we really take up different aspects. I wanted to understand the ontological position. So when Sri Aurobindo would bring in later on that the mother is one, but she has descended into this ignorance is this. So the word descended, now you understand the meaning of the word descended. From this level she comes. She doesn't come from here. She is Aditi here on the third level we have seen. But from this Aditi, there is the intervening supramental consciousness. So she is this Shakti, and then from this level she descends. So the word descend connotes from the supramental Mahashakti. So if we understand this concept of the mother now, you have philosophic understanding of the levels. So we have covered this divine plan, and I think I can move on to the next paragraph. So when we said about the first sentence of the paragraph itself, the four powers of the mother. Now when we are talking about the four powers, last time I mentioned the four powers that we have spoken of. That is, we have come to know about the Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati. But there is again an interesting parallel here. Sri Aurobindo in one of his letters, is not there in any one of his books, but in one of the letters he mentions that this is an idea that we get in our own Puranas. But he does give it a recognition and kind of a qualification, if I can say. And that is what is interesting. We have, as per our knowledge, we will look into that in detail, Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati. Their qualities, we'll get the details. But this is on the level of the Shakti, or what we said last time, Parameshwari. Now we also said there is the other side is the Parameshwara, the consciousness aspect, whereas this is the energy, force, etc. This is the consciousness. And remember this thing, this is the general rhythm of manifestation. That wherever there is Prakriti or energy, there must be a form of consciousness. There cannot be consciousness without energy, or there cannot be energy without consciousness. What does it mean? Well, the first one, the one that is very close to Maheshwari, is called Shri Krishna. And the second one is Balarama. Third is Pradyumna. And fourth is Aniruddha. Well, some of you may know our Puranas and see these are the names of Krishna, and Balarama is brother and Pradyumna is son, etc. But these are not the Purana names of the Puranas. Like we have these goddesses also in Indian mythology, but we are not alluding to this. But in Puranas and in Sri Aurobindo, it's very interesting to see, he would call this Sri Krishna might and wisdom. He calls Balarama power and strength, the same qualities that Mahakali has. He is also having power and strength. Maheshwari, it is the same wisdom, and Sri Krishna. And Pradyumna is sweetness and delight. is the same thing that we will see later when we take up the description. The same thing comes here, power and wisdom. I mean, it's amazing to see the same qualities on both sides. This is bodily enjoyment and reason. Why am I bringing in this? Not because of the Puranas, but to insist that always Parameshwara and Parameshwari, they manifest in different forms in this creation. There's never any question of only Shakti coming in. There is always the Purusha who also manifests in different forms. So there is the consciousness aspect, or the He aspect, to make it simple, the He aspect and the She aspect. But they represent the same powers as we see in this four. And the last important thing is, before I take up the book, there is this question of, there's a further description in Sri Aurobindo which says, Sri Krishna, he has divine knowledge, and of course we have seen Balarama has strength, wrath, guided by Sri Krishna. Third one, Pradyumna, gives himself to men and buys their love in exchange. Universal philanthropist, he is a sweet and throbbing heart in things. The Kamin, the Bhogin, the scientist, user of material means, democrat, leveler, is the Aniruddha. Well, I'm not explaining that. What is important is, I was really struck to see that the first one is the Satya Yuga. That might interest you here. Satya Yuga. This is Treta, this is Dwapara, and this is Kali. And the thing that touched me most is when Sri Aurobindo writes, once in each Chatur Yuga, they come down together, the Chatur Vyuha, the fourfold effective power. So once in each of these yugas, they come together. Now this is where I want to refer you to the mother. You see, what Sri Aurobindo describes in the Puranas tell us is, in each yuga, one of these deities is predominating. It's very interesting to see the history from this angle. If you want to see the history of human evolution, you will see that every civilization has Maheshwari first. Be it the Greek or the Romans or the Indians or the Chinese or the Egyptian, anywhere. It is a Maheshwari aspect, the wisdom aspect. You call it the Greek Apollos, there this, or there is the Chinese thing. The wisdom aspect comes first in every civilization. And then if you see history, it is always the next was taken up by power, where the kingdoms and the empires and the emperors and the kingdoms and the kings, they sprout up. And there is always the war. So there is also what is happening according to the Indian system of classification. First is the Brahmin. Then comes the Kshatriya. Kshatriya is represented by Balarama power or Mahakali. I mean, this is a period that you can divide history into 4 sections. Mahakali, Maheshwari, Mahakali. And then the whole of the world, maybe the different periods, a little bit 100 years, 50 years plus minus, you have the age of Mahalakshmi, that is the age of the Vaishya, the age of the money, the age of the industrial revolution, the age of technology that comes in. So there is a question of this welfare, human welfare, the scientific discoveries. That is the power of the Vaishya. That means the power of Lakshmi, where she spreads equality on material level. And today we are at the level of Mahasaraswati. Mahasaraswati is perfection in work. So we are all having, of course, Aniruddha, I was again surprised to see the description of bodily enjoyment. And today, you cannot describe the present generation, present not generations, by this fact that we are all into bodily enjoyment. I mean, it's so amazing to see that they had predicted these 4 stages, so we should not be surprised that, oh, what is there happening? There's violence and sex and love and all that. It was said already, the 4th level is the bodily enjoyment and reason. So let's not be thinking we are great rationalistic people and all that, fine. But it has come as a process of evolution which was already foreseen. So these are the 4 stages of human evolution from the point of view of civilizational history. And obviously, we are in all these things, perfection in work, technology, bodily enjoyment, rationalism, Kali Yuga. So they're all together. But what does it show? That there is, he says, once in this Chatur once in each Chatur Yuga, they come down together. Who is that they? And this is the raison d'etre of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. That in this Kali Yuga, which Sri Aurobindo says ended in 1907, once at the end of this, all the 4 come together in one form. So no doubt the Mother represents these 4 parts. So her coming is not accidental. It is not just a question of, yuge, what the Gita says, from age to age the avatar comes in. There are all have been different avatars from yuge, from age to age whenever there was adharma. But the coming of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo are not according to what the Gita says about from age to age the avatar comes in. It is the inevitable coming in of all the 4 aspects of the divine in one form at the end of the Chatur Yuga, that we are end of the Kali Yuga, and there comes in the Mother, there comes in Sri Aurobindo with wisdom and power and delight and rationalism, reason at its best in the life divine. So you see, now I understand why the twin avatars, as we have called them, the dual avatars. So they have come because it's the end of the 4 yugas. Sri Aurobindo did not come at the end of the 3rd yuga, or the Mother did not come at the end of Balaram on the 2nd yuga. After all the 4 yugas have been crossed over, that all the 4 manifest in a single body. And that is the Mother, and that is Sri Aurobindo. And another message that we get from out of this, he says 1907 Kali Yuga ended, and there is a transition of 100 years, he says. So we are about the transition time now, 2012, plus minus 5 years. But then the thing is, after this begins the recycle, the higher cycle of the Satya Yuga begins here. So now after this, the spiral, the first spiral has gone to the second spiral, and we are now on the second spiral, just at the beginning. The Kali Yuga is finished, and now we have to go through the spiral here. That means the coming of the Satya Yuga is an evolutionary process. So we are here in this time of transition. Going from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga is obviously the darkest period, the most dangerous period, and a period where suffering, the Holocaust, is extreme. But it is also the period that gives us a greater dawn, the possibility of a higher dawn. You see, like Savitri is interestingly starts with that. It was the hour before the gods awake, the first dawn when there was the Sri Krishna and the beginning of creation itself. And then the last line of Savitri says, we go towards a higher dawn. The higher dawn is the new Satya Yuga coming in. So we have crossed through a whole evolutionary process of all the 4 yugas, and Mother and Sri Aurobindo have come us to deliver the new baby of the Supermind, to take us to usher humanity towards the new Satya Yuga. So in each level, of course, this Satya Yuga is not, the coming one is not the same as the past one. In the past, Satya Yuga was only Satya Yuga. It did not incorporate the physical, the vital and the mental. It was only the spiritual. But the new Satya Yuga is an incorporation, is a synthesis of the best of the mind, the vital and the physical. So now what we are going to get as Satya Yuga is the supramental age, where we will have a synthesis of the body, the heart, the psychic being and the mind. So this is the conjunction in evolution, not even in history, where the Mother and Sri Aurobindo have come. So friends, look at these 2 beings. At least in my personal, this is my personal view, you may take it or leave it or accept or not. But what I have understood personally is this, that the Mother and Sri Aurobindo have come at the end of the 4 yugas. So their coming, maybe we will not understand now. We are too close to history. And maybe because I have been with the Mother, I have taken her for granted. That's what Nalnida also writes. All of us who have been so close to the Mother physically have taken her for granted. I mean, when we could have used her as a ladder and climbed up to great heights. And some people in the ashram have done it. Used her body as the ladder and climbed up to even the Supermind. But most people have not taken the advantage. We have lost time. We have lost consciousness. Thinking, oh, she is there, fine. Let me be busy with myself. But then later, when I read the Mother once again in my Auroville days and later, I read all that in my school days, higher course days. But the understanding comes later. And now, once this kind of dawned in me, and then I said, my God, with whom was I? Not a spiritual leader, not one more guru. There are thousands of them in India. I'm just coming from a conference in Italy where there was the Sarva Yoga International. I mean, there are people from Ramakrishna Mission, Shivananda Mission, Chinmayananda Mission, whatnot. I mean, there are all kinds of people there, all different ashrams represented. But when I spoke about Sri Aurobindo, it was a blasphemy. Because I went against all those gurus, what all they said about meditation, about this and that. I threw a bombshell and many of them didn't like it, especially the Swamis who were sitting in front of me. I mean, they're staring at me, oh, what a blasphemy, this young guy, not young, but younger to them maybe. But I was bold, I said, take it or leave it, this is Sri Aurobindo. I mean, I'm here to represent Sri Aurobindo, this is not my idea. So what I mean is, he's so far beyond. Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, we will not understand them. We cannot appreciate. We are too close to appreciate them. But mentally, this is my understanding. Inwardly, I'll take lives to grow into them. But at least I'm fortunate if I say, wow, that Mother whom I touched, that Mother who blessed me, that Mother on whose feet I lay my head, is this supramental Master? Is that third absolute? I said, my mind got blasted. I said, it cannot be true. But that is the truth. So amongst you Aurovillian friends, I have come just to tell you that we may challenge her sayings. We may challenge her saying she was there in her 60s, her opinion is different. We may challenge her saying her concept of Auroville was that, but I am the latest architect of 2012. I have been educated in Paris and Italy, and I come with the latest news. But friends, you know whom you are talking about, against whom you are challenging. I mean, our heads should hang in shame even to question her. It is not religious fanaticism, please remember that. I would not get into fanaticism if I would have gotten into, but had I not understood who she is. Either this book is wrong or you are right. But I have my every atom of my body believes in this. So there is nobody who can question, who can put doubt, and who can ask, say, hey, what did the mother say after all? I said, shut up. You are after all, keep it to yourself. Because every thought, every cell in my body believes the truth of this. So there is no going back on that. So I am telling you, because you have been coming to the class for the past so many months, I can confide in you. So take me to be whatever you want me to be. You give me labels, you call it fundamental, fanatic. Yes, I am fanatic about the mother. I am fundamental about this mother. If my fundamentals are wrong, then I am sorry, go and correct Sri Aurobindo's fundamentals. So I stand by Sri Aurobindo and the mother's fundamental principles. And all the controversies, mental labeling, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, I blast them. Because for me, I have no freedom but only to quote, sometimes misquote, understand, misunderstand, only this. I have given up my freedom of speech, freedom of thought. And I am proud to have done that. Because that is my conscious surrender. That's my prayer. Mother, let me not think, let me not speak. Because I want to think only about you and talk only about you and tell only what you have said through me in my little understanding. Who am I? Can you imagine in this chart who you and me and all of us? Just an atom in this creation and we are challenging the Creator? And that's exactly what Mother wrote. If some of you have been to the Mother's room, even now if you go, where you are climbing down from the Mother's chamber, when you are climbing down, on the left side there is a big poster saying, do you want to correct what the Creator has done? I mean, that was such a slap, both sides of my cheek. Do you want to correct what the Creator has done? So what are we trying to do? I mean, here an atom and you see who this mother is? And we take her lightly saying that she is one of those creatures first come, happened to have started Auroville, she is a mother. But, thanks friends, there is no but. There is no but. You may take it or leave it. You are rational people, you may think I am emotional, but this is the truth of my soul and I will not budge from it. People may say anything, call me anything, but I am sold to this mother. And it is that I have come to convey, share. If you want to accept it, be with me. If you say, no, Ananda, you are too fanatic, that's a compliment. Because I would like to be fanatic about the mother, day in, day out, breathe her in and out every minute. Well, I think we have just finished the introduction. I hope you remember that, because once you understand who she is, I would say suspend your mind. Because the Vedas have told us, the Upanishads have told us, you cannot understand her with your mind. And Sri Aurobindo himself will write, I'll bring out that thing. He says, do not follow the mother with your mind, follow her with your soul. So we know the truth, and let's try. Let's try with our inner being. That will be the real benefit of this class. If you think you are just coming for the sake of, just trying to know who the mother is, you'll never know her. But yes, these hours we can be with her. That's my prayer and invocation.